Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Power Hour Tuesday Night Mastermind. I am your host, Chris Peters. And tonight we have our great friend and mentor, Mr. Sean Chun from Hawaii, and we have Dan Sisick from Las Vegas, Nevada. And tonight's mastermind, we are going to be discussing the power of self-control and why it's so important. So why is self-control so important? Well, because without it, you can't expect to be a success at anything you do in life, because self-control is all about remaining composed and poised even in the most trying and stressful times. Now, I know because it can be very difficult. I still struggle at times to remain poised and calm when dealing with certain challenges. The more you practice self-control, however, the easier it will be for you to do so in the future. And these habits must be practiced daily until they become instinctual in order to be fully effective. So to begin with tonight, we're going to be doing a format from 7:30 to 7:45, and then from 7:45 to 8 p.m., 8 to 8:15, and 8:15 to 8:30. So I'm just going to get right into it here. The first question we have for everybody tonight is, do you remember times when you lost control of yourself, and what were the consequences that occurred? Anybody can chime in to start. Sean, what about you?
You've lost control of yourself.
Yeah, do you remember some times when you lost control of yourself, and what were some of the consequences that happened as a result of that?
I once had an employee steal from me, and I got upset, but I didn't directly confront. And I guess I lost control because I got upset because she stole money from me.
Ah.
And the consequences of it was that I ended up firing her, but I don't know if there's negative consequences to it. I knew myself well enough not to act upon it. What about you?
How about me? Oh boy. Yeah, there's been a lot of times I've dealt with a lot of bad stuff and said things I didn't mean to people. I've lost friendships. I lost relationships from that. Actually, a very important one to me years ago, or over 10 years ago now. I lost her because I didn't have self-control over my jealousy and my insecurities and paranoia at the time of trusting a woman with all my heart and stuff like that. And I made assumptions and formed conclusions that turned out to be false at the time, but because I kept dwelling on it, it eventually became true. So right then and there, I was smacked with the reality of the law of attraction and stuff, and creating what you think about most and what you focus on most becomes reality. So for me, it was a real wake-up call for me to go, okay, I need to step back and not think that those types of things are true, or are always assuming the worst about people, places, and things and stuff like that. So that was a big dose of reality for me when that happened. What about you, Dan?
I was going to say, I kind of get the gist of what you were saying. I had a phone call I had to take, so sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
I've said a few things over the years and stuff a little bit and stuff in the heat of the moment. But me, I think I learned because of my background and things I've been through personally when I was younger. I've learned I do have a temper. I do. I have been so pissed that I've punched a brick wall. I punched a light post. Surprisingly, I have never broken my fingers, but I punched a door and stuff. But I've walked away from the person. I've walked away because I knew that if I said or did or whatever, I would regret it. That's because of what I've seen and stuff personally.
Yeah.
Now I've had other people say and do things to me where I've had to also control myself and not respond back in kind. I've had to just bite my tongue because of how I am, because normally I'd be like going right back at them. And in fact, earlier this year, I had to do that with very close, actually with my roommate. I had to deal with something and I had to put it into perspective and realize that I think it was more out of frustration on other things that was happening in his life, I just got the brunt of it.
Right.
So I had to also really pull myself and look at, the whys and hows of why, that might have happened. So I think when I also want to lash out, I tend to stop myself and I'll really think about what I want to say and how I want to say it, because I don't want something to come out in the wrong way
No.
and lose a friendship
Yeah.
over something that's been said wrong.
Awesome. Good job, Dan. What about you, Kareem? Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Here's the way I look at that. Sometimes I get angry. Sometimes I lose my temper and I say something I don't mean. But I kind of look at it as, say, I'm looking at the clouds in the sky. Sometimes there's a little bit of a windy day, or sometimes there's a little bit of a moment that I lose my temper. But the whole idea is not to try not to get mad, but to just let it go by, just whoosh.
Awesome.
And then I can see the clouds in the sky. I can see like nothing affects them. It just keeps going through. And to be like that. Not to say that I never get mad. I never lose my temper. I have lost my temper. But not to make it something that I can't get over. The problem isn't losing my temper. The problem is dwelling on the fact that I did. And if I can get over that and just keep going through, then I find a way to start mastering all of the emotions that I get hit with until it's just like that. And then I don't have that problem anymore.
That's a great perspective. I think that a lot of people, including myself, still struggle with stuff like that. But anyway, moving on. Number 2, for everybody, do you struggle at times with self-control? And if so, what are some problem areas that you may need to address? Sean? Anybody?
Say that again.
What do you struggle at times with self-control, and if so, what are some problem areas that you may need to address? Problematic areas. I can go first while people ponder. For me, there was a lot of self-control issues I had about the Power Hour and how we were going to make it on YouTube, and just being really frustrated with all the hard work we put in, and it's like our wheels were spinning, but we weren't really progressing forward as quickly as I'd like. I've struggled with patience a lot for being an entrepreneur, and now I'm learning that you have to have patience. You can't make it in life without patience. You can't make it as an entrepreneur without patience. You have to be willing to persist even if you don't see results right away. Because when you're creating and you're working and you're progressing, results are happening, you're just not seeing them yet. And I think that's one of the biggest realities that an entrepreneur must accept, is you have to do the work without seeing any results, because the results will come. So those were some problematic areas that I really needed to address, and I'm glad I've done so. And it's helped me a lot to keep myself focused on the big picture, which is Rockstar Entrepreneurial Starters now, thanks to our hard work and dedication, as well as Sean kind of paving the way for us. But what's been really cool about working with him is that he's kind of just shown us what bricks we need to put into place, and we're figuring out what the bricks need to be look like, what they need to be shaped into. And he's not doing it for us. He's teaching us, yes, but he's not doing the work for us. And I think that's one of the best things about having a mentor that really wants us to get it and learn, is like, you can't do something for somebody. You can show them, you can guide them, but when you do the work for them, they're not really learning. So I've gained a tremendous amount of patience from him, and learning through him, and just having him help me put everything into perspective, so that he's like, Chris, you are going to make it, but you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to smash. But now that I can see what we're, and everything's come together, I'm okay with that now. It's like I'm calm and I'm poised, and I'm like, okay, we just got to do this and keep overcoming adversities. So that's really helped a lot. Really helped a lot.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you're never going to have instant success. And I think that's the folly of a lot of network marketing kind of things, or like affiliate programs where they promise you, these kind of, an analogy would be like they promise you the wall is set, right? Like here's the wall, but the wall never gets built that way, right? You always gotta, what I tell my clients is you gotta focus on each brick and make each brick as perfect as you can, and then place that brick up. And then eventually, by doing that day in and day out, you're gonna come up with a nice wall, right? So it's just a matter of, it's just like you said, Chris, it's a matter of dedication and persistence in that regard for that. So, yeah. Can you repeat the question again, Chris?
Yeah, it's do you struggle with self-control hold on. Do you struggle with self-control, and if so, what are some problematic areas that you may need to address?
I'll jump out really quick. I think as I stated before, I've had to learn how to control, but yet my brain is still going 90, 100 million miles a minute. So I'm kind of like you, Chris. I will think of something or have it, and I'm already running off with this scenario in my head that all this is going on, that's happening, that could happen, that will happen, or whatever. But I've had to control myself and how I respond and not let that overtake me. But then, after I do that, I still kind of will sit here and go, that could happen and that will happen. Or, what if this happens? How will I handle this? Or so I think that's the area where I need to work is, I think I control myself very well. It's just internally, I'm just raging on and going on and on and on, and learning to control that and letting go of that. So that way, because half the time, half of what I'm going over, what I'm thinking, it never materializes in the first place. So why put myself through all that, worrying over stuff that more than likely will not happen the way I'm perceiving it. So, and then as far as like with businesses and stuff and things and endeavors and things I've been a part of, I've really had to learn to, have self-control on that, because I want it yesterday. I have all this going on in my life. I need to take care of that. I've got, all these things that are need to be solved. So why can't this other portion that would solve it all be here and available and fix it? So I think, in that sense, I've had to learn self-control and patience and just keep plugging along.
Yeah, it's very important. What about you, Kareem or Sean?
I can give you an answer, but it's not exactly the answer to the question. See, I'd say when you try and control the self, you don't control the self. When I'm putting so much issues, so much time, so much patience and saying, I'm going to control the self. I'm going to do A, B, and C. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to try, which aren't bad things in and of themselves. The problem is the method I'm using to get there. It's not the problem of me saying that I want to control the self. It's the problem that when I try to control the self, and I've tried this before, I'm going to work out. I'm going to do A, B, and C. I'm going to have good work ethic. It doesn't happen because I'm always trying to push. What instead I do is find something I like to do, find something that I'm inspired by that I don't have to force. And then, funny enough, I let, if you want to call it nature, take its course, the thing, whatever it is, life take its course, and then it works out for me. Whereas when I try to control it, when I can try to control myself, like maybe I get mad or I get angry at something, I don't stop myself from getting mad, but then I get mad, figure it out, and then move on. I think the problem is actually trying to control yourself and then trying to say, hey, I'm going to be A, B, or C in one moment when maybe it's not possible, or maybe I'm feeling something different. There's nothing wrong with feeling a certain way or doing a certain thing. The action might be wrong, but in the moment, I want to be present in the moment and not worrying about controlling the self and let life work itself out.
Okay.
For me, it's about, it's not so much about self-control. It's about developing good habits. So I don't need to be in that situation. So every day I wake up and I have these good habits. Like I know I got to put in, no matter what it is, I know I got to put in X amount of work. Because as an entrepreneur, nobody's going to tell me, hey, Sean, you got to go and work. You got to go and do this now and you got to do that now, right? So it's just the fact of I never run into that problem of self-control because I have good habits formed already. It's just automatic for me where things have to get done. And if things don't get done, nothing happens, right?
Yep.
So it's not so much controlling myself. It's more that I have the habits in place to not get to that point where I have to worry about self-control. It's just an automatic response where I have to get things done. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when I say struggle with self-control, I think when we're talking about when you overreact to things. People overreact to situations, or they spend too much money, or they yell at their spouse or their friends without thinking about the way that they're treating someone because of the state of mind they're in. Those have been problem areas for me before. But I think it's important to be aware of what you want to change before you can change it, because you can't change anything without first knowing what the problem is. So in my personal opinion, you do have to control yourself, and you have to learn how. And I think that it's important because everybody, if they practice, like you said, the good habits, they can control themselves. They can stop spending money, they can stop drinking, they can stop losing their temper, they can stop getting overreacting to things. It's just a matter of willing yourself to do it. But the third question that we're going to talk about now and then move on is, when faced with a stressful situation, how do you react? And Sean, I'm sure you can answer this one right away because you're faced with stress all the time, dealing with clients who may blame you that because of your mentorship, their business hasn't turned around. But in reality, it's not your fault. So how do you deal with clients that stress you out that way and try to?
What I do is I take a step back, and number one, it's never personal, right? Everybody. Right. The first thing I do whenever I look at someone who's stressed out is that I never assume they have the life I have. I never assume they see the perspective I do. And that's kind of, it kind of alleviates, it kind of puts the pressure off. Like, I just assume they have a worse time. They have a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? And by doing that, it puts me in a position to say, well, you know what, it's not something that I have a problem with. It's just something that they have an issue with. Right. So first, identifying that there's an issue there that they have. Right. It's not my personal issue. They're lashing out at me because of an issue that they have. Right. So it's a perspective. So first thing is I take a step back and look at perspective. I look at, okay, what is this? Why are they lashing out at me for? Right. There's another reason. And then at that point, I figure out, I'm inquisitive. I figure out, okay, why are you upset at me? Right. And by showing compassion and inquisitiveness to them, it opens them up for the most part. Right? Sometimes you get people who are just like, screw you, I don't want to deal with you. And at that point, I just leave them alone. But sometimes, actually, I would say more than often, by asking them, why are you, I understand you're stressed about this. Why are you being inquisitive and actually caring about them and showing them with kindness, they kind of get disarmed. Right, I disarm them by being kind. I shower them with kindness and disarms them. They're like, I can't be mad at you. You're being nice to me. You're asking me why this is happening. You're complimenting me on the good of things, right? And at that point, I can get into what's really bugging them, and I just don't let it affect me to that extent.
That's good.
By letting it affect, early on in my first business at a coffee shop, and I took it personally. People would get mad that this wasn't happy, or they weren't happy with this, or employees weren't happy with that. And over time, I learned that it's like, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is how I view my perspective on the situation, right? And how to now deal with that situation in a way where it's not about me, right? It's they're the one that's having a bad day, right? Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you can be all mad at them for whatever you want. But but I look at it as like, you know what? You're just having a bad day. You got to get somewhere faster than me. Fine.
Yeah.
Instead of taking it personally, because they don't know me, right? They don't know me. They don't know who I am. They just see a car, right? They're not doing it to me. They're just cutting me off because they feel whatever, angry, or they got to get somewhere. And I just lay it on that. Like, you're not doing it to me. You don't know who I am. I just attribute it to that. So I think the first thing to disarm the situation is I just take a step back and look at it from a different perspective.
That's good. No, that's really good. I find myself doing the same thing. You know, like I said before, I don't always have a the best relationship with my roommate. But anyway, so I think of times when I may not be getting along with certain people, or and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to keep repeating what bothers me about this situation or this person, because I don't want to lose control of me. I don't want to feed the things I'm trying to change about myself. And if I do that and I get upset, I'm actually going in reverse with those habits and moving forward. And that's going to reflect on me when I'm out marketing the company. I mean, I have to be calm and poised even when people say no, or when maybe I come in and they're just really not having a good day, and I might even get some business owners that yell, why the hell are you trying to sell me videos? Well, I just gotta be, okay, man, cool. If you don't want, can I leave a brochure or a business card? If not, all right, that's somebody I don't want to work with anyway. So I think learning not to take things personal, very important. And that's been a really key factor for me as well.
I was going to jump in and say I'm kind of like Sean. I had to learn from. I've worked in retail. I've worked in 2 different retail stores, and a major mall here in Las Vegas, Nevada. That was a very big tourist mall. I also have worked for H&R Block as a tax preparer in the past. So especially dealing with people's taxes, I've had people get very upset and irate and irritated and stuff, or come in already they're expecting the worst, and they're already chomping at the bit. And I've had to learn that it's really not me that they're mad at. It's really not me that is the issue. It's some underlying issue or something. I'm just the scapegoat at the time that's getting it, for the most part. And on that, I have to depersonalize myself, and and because I am one to take things very personally and take it very to heart, and very like, what I do, you don't like me, why, what, tell me why, and I'll fix it, I'll change it, whatever. So I think that's helped me grow and helped me to make me a better person, to realize that, it's not always me, it's them. But I have to also put myself in their shoes if I have a bad day, because there are lots of times I've had a bad day and I kind of get a little rude or irritated, or short with people or something like that, and I have to then go back a lot of times and tell them, look, I'm sorry, it was not you, it was just something was bothering me, or this was going on, and you just got the bad end of it at that point. And so I think that's kind of where if you pay attention to what's going on around you, and pay attention to how you respond, you can learn how to work on that and
Makes
lessen
sense.
it.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Kareem?
I think the best way to deal with a stressful situation, or all stressful situations, is to realize it's just a passing event. And I don't want to say like joke about it, but sometimes when there's stressful situations that you can't control, that, maybe we get worried about something that happens, like a technical issue that's not working. Maybe somebody gets angry for no reason. Maybe somebody does something goofy, a customer. Maybe one of my family or friends say something to me. I'm like, what's going on? I try again and not dwell on it. Don't just make it a passing event. And if a stressful situation needs an action, just take an action. Doesn't have to be the right one. But if we take an action just keep going with it, go with the flow, then you can handle those stressful situations. And sometimes I've handled them good, sometimes I handle them bad and made the wrong decision. But as long as I don't sit there and worry about it, get upset, and get stuck in a hole, then it's easily to overcome.
Interesting. I like that. All right, so we're moving on to the next format. So how many books or audio cassettes have you listened to on personal development in the past 12 months? I know that I've listened to a lot of stuff from Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Earl Nightingale are some of my favorites, and they've really helped me to develop the consciousness that I need and to keep developing the consciousness that I need to be a success. Because if you follow in the footsteps of those who have come before you, their formulas, you're going to make it. And that's the truth. So if you study these things and you follow what they've applied to your own life, and anybody can, then you can do it. Same thing with reading books like The Law of Success and Think and Grow Rich, is that I'm starting to transform my entire awareness of things and how success actually happens. And it's very important for me to do that. And I think it's important for anybody that wants to change their life to make the changes and the habits to become a successful person, because success is a habit. It's not an act. And it's really not that difficult if you have the persistence and the determination to cultivate the right mindset. And this is the way that I've learned how to do it, is by studying personal development. So I think it's very important to read as much as you can on your chosen field. Ours is video marketing and personal development under the other umbrella that we're going to be building. But I also think that in order to be a person of success, for me, you have to know what it's all about, and this is how I'm learning. So by applying these things, I am noticing changes in myself. I'm noticing changes in my life. I'm noticing changes in what we're doing. I'm noticing how things are evolving because I'm attracting those things, and that's what personal development sets you up for. It sets you up to attract what you want to bring into your life. So I think for me, it's been very important to read and listen to as much as I can. So go ahead.
I will jump out. As for me, I haven't really listened to a lot of audios per se. The last week or so, I have been a little bit from stuff I'm looking into. But as you two know, I'm a part of a mastermind group, and we read a book, and I've been a part of that mastermind group for 4 or 5 years now, maybe a little longer. And so over the last few years, over the course of the year, I've read book after book. I mean, just a while ago, finished Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao by Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
Right now I'm reading The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. In the past, I've read Think and Grow Rich, Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, of course, by Napoleon Hill, Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. I've read Start With Why. I've read Secrets to T. Harv Eker's book. I can't think of it. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I've read that. Love that book. I've read Psycho-Cybernetics. So that's an area I love to dive into, is personal development and stuff, because it helps me with my mindset and stuff and things.
Yep. And
I'm still absorbing and still learning and still trying to get it all in here to help me move forward. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, and for me, No Excuse by Jay Riffenberry was a very important book, because I used to make excuses and struggle with procrastination, which I don't anymore. Kareem and I we've worked so hard to build Rockstar, and now we've got the foundation down, and now we're almost ready to get out there and start marketing, which is really cool. But The Law of Success has been a big one for me. I think that's probably my favorite book by Napoleon Hill, and it was my second time through it, and I'm on the chapter of self-control. which is why I decided on this topic for tonight, because I've been reading it and I've been taking a lot of insight from it and going, this would make a great show topic, because I know we covered it before, but maybe not in this much depth. So now that I have the knowledge on how to format it better and structure the topic of self-control better, I figured, let's dive into it again. So those have been very important books for me. Think and Grow Rich is another one. You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I want to read that. I mean, obviously, there's thousands of books I'm going to read throughout my life, but I think it's important to constantly be feeding your mind knowledge and feeding your mind new ways of doing things, new ways of being and changing, so that you can literally become a magnet for success, because that's what you got to do, because paradigms are a very real thing. So whatever you're broadcasting out of your subconscious mind on a daily basis is the energy that you're tuning into, which is going to harmonize and attract everything. Every element of life is based on that energy. So I want to make my signature, broadcast signature, as powerful and positive as possible. That's the main reason I'm doing personal development. What about you, Kareem?
I can't actually say I've read the same authors, because I have read Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and a lot of them in the past. People I've been listening to, probably Krishnamurti a lot, Ram Dass, Neem Karoli Baba. Couple things on the Tao Te Ching. I think Dan was just talking about that. I think that is related, except I'm listening to it from an Eastern side more maybe than a Western side. And for me, it's about coming to the realization that I'm already successful and I'm already it. And I'm just taking the steps from this perspective I have right now to get to where I want. So to me, I've already become successful. I already had a lot of what I want come true, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and that's the main thing. And just to enjoy what I do, to be on here, to have fun, to enjoy getting up and then working on videos, learning new software, finding new things that I can do, and just playing around. And I've come to the realization that the problem is that I was always thinking that I had to work and then play and separate those two. When I'm doing videos, I'm playing, I'm having fun, I'm doing a lot of crazy and goofy stuff. People are like, what are you doing with these words, kinetic topography, and making them explode and doing all these weird effects? I say, hey, I'm having fun. I'm taking my art and making it go which way and painting canvases, except they happen to be online and they're in MP4 format. However, it's the same thing as playing, and that's why it comes out so good, because I'm not separating the work from play. I'm not going to cubicle. I'm not going to somewhere to learn. I'm just picking it up, having fun with it, and knowing that life's there to be enjoyed and to really take as, in the sense of it, a game where you can play, and not in a goofy sense, not in a clown sense, but in a sense where you're free flowing, you're playing, you're having fun. And that's one thing I really like, learning about Krishnamurti, Neem Karoli Baba, Ram Dass, Terrence McKenna, although he talks a little bit more about the substance side more than the spiritual side. They still have the idea of get past the illusion of trying to be something, trying to fit a specific role, and have fun, play, and be free-flowing.
Interesting. All right, so the next question, have you written down the key areas that you need to work on when it comes to establishing better self-control? Guess I'll jump out first. Yeah, I mean, that's why I've written down my definite chief aim. That's why I've written down where I want to be in 5 years. I've written down areas of myself that I want to address and change, so that I'm more patient and things like that, and more happy, and more positive about certain things. So I've written down key areas that I need to work on so that I control my attitude better and control myself better. And it's very real. You know, you have to, if you can't identify a problem if you don't write it down, and you can't change a problem if you don't act on it. At least I know that's how it's been for me. And so I know that when I write stuff down that I want to change and I start working towards it, things start to change. Those problem areas start to change. So it's been very important for me to write all that stuff down. Go ahead.
I kind of have stuff. Oh, sorry, sorry, Kareem. Go ahead, Kareem.
I actually used to write stuff down, and I still save stuff in my phone. But generally what happens is if I have a task at hand and I can do it, I either do it right then and there, or I do it at the next possible time that I can get it done. So I had a user agreement to write up, so I couldn't do that instantly because I needed somebody with some legal ideas to throw some of their knowledge to me. So what I did instantly there is I hit up my buddy who is on Fiverr as a lawyer, got some of his ideas, and then worked with him, and then just kept working on it. So I don't have to write things down now because I'm either doing it instantaneously or at the next possible moment. If I can't get it done, then I keep working towards it in some manner or fashion. But it's that instantaneousness of jumping on it that's really powerful, because the problem with sometimes making lists is I made lists upon lists upon lists upon lists, and then they either got bigger or shorter, and I'm crossing things off and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I did everything on this list. Well, then the list gets more things. Well, I'm just going to jump on what I need to do and get it done right now.
Interesting. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm kind of a mixture of both of what Kareem was talking about. I have done semi-list, little list of things that are really important to me, but I tend to be one of these, or if I put it in my phone, depending on how important it is or what it might be, I have been known to look at it and say, oh, I'll do it later. And on my phone, in order to get rid of something, I can swipe it off rather than just click on it. I can just swipe. So kind of like the idea of some of these apps, that you just swipe right or left. Well, on mine, I can just swipe it and get rid of it, and it's not in my face anymore. But in the back of my head, I kind of like, okay, I got to do that and do that. I like the idea of lists. I've never really been a list person. That's something I like to get a little bit, but I don't want it to control my life either. I don't want to be hemmed in by that either, because I'm like Kareem. There are some things where if I have the time and the moment to get it done right now, let me take that moment right now to get it done and taken care of, and then it's out of my way. It's out of my hair, and I can move on with it.
Yeah. It's like Bruce Lee said, if you think about something so long, you'll never do it. I should go to the gym. I should get this video done. I should do A, B, and C. I thought about it. I wrote it down. I made amendments to do it. And I got this plan. We're going to get it. It's coming. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm like, and I did stuff like that a lot. It's probably the biggest culprit of that. Now, if I get something, if something pops up on Fiverr, if I have an assignment to do, if someone asks me to do something, the earliest thing, I'm like, let's get it done. Or let's try to get it done. Or at least let's move in the forward direction of getting it done. So the problem happens when I found I was over intellectualizing about getting stuff done. Like, oh, okay, well, I can do this tomorrow, and I can do that like this, and then no, just get it.
Sean, you're back.
Yeah. What's the question?
Okay, so the question was, have you written down the key areas that you need to work on when it comes to establishing better self-control? And I was talking about how, I've written down stuff that I want to change about myself and those kinds of things that I've been working towards, including being a lot more patient.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I am at, but I do write down goals.
Well, you have to. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I do write that down, and I guess that
Me
can
too.
tribute towards
Mhm.
some kind of overcoming any kind of
Yep.
aspect.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree. All right, so moving on to the last question, and then we're going to go into discussion and insights. Do you have a support group or mastermind where you can get insight into certain problematic areas that you want to address and change? I would say we have one right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing this has helped me address and change a lot of things about myself. Because I was able to open up and talk to people and tell people what I was dealing with and my goals and my vision for life and my success. So I'm very grateful for the Power Hour and that we created this, because it's, you know, it's not just, I'm not really the host. I mean, I am, but I'm not the person that directs it. It's everybody else too. So it's been very beneficial to have something like this where I can come and talk to people, get insights into things that I'm dealing with, and certain problematic areas that I may need to address and change. A lot of that's been discussed as well in previous broadcasts. So anybody else? I mean, Sean, I guess do you have a mastermind that you can go on to do that kind of stuff in, other than this
Actually,
one?
I have a personal development group that I meet once a week with, and then we just discuss like our it's accountability. We get accountability, and we list our goals for the week, and make sure that we team up with each other, and then to assure accountability for whatever goals we want to do. So I highly recommend that.
Of course, I do too. Yeah.
I had an idea for that. Actually, we could have one call. We could do the Power Side chats. We could also have an accountability call where we don't specifically talk about a topic, but we say like, okay, I'm working on this. And then
Yeah,
funny
that's a
enough,
good idea.
helping each other be accountable. Like, Dan, get that blog post done. Cream, get that video, that user agreement done. Chris, what you working on? And actually, I think that could be really beneficial, because then we could get a huge audience that would say, hey, I have trouble, and it's harder than you think, because I remember when I had a personal trainer, I was always at the gym. I was always there because my friend was helping me. He was teaching me cheaply, and I was like, okay, I don't want to miss this because he will get mad. Same thing with Sean. Every time when Sean comes on, or when I have time with Sean, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the phone away, put everything away, because I
Yeah.
need to make sure I use his time and be accountable. And at least I need to make sure that I have something to turn into him every week that I'm making progress. And having those accountability calls on the Power Hour could probably help all of us maximize our productivity. And as for masterminds, this pay me what I'm worth. I'd like to go the Saturday night or Saturday morning mastermind I really like. And funny enough, powwowing with the Fiverr people, which is something that's not necessarily in the sense of a mastermind. It's not structured like this, but they still get together. We still talk, and I still talk to different people there. So that helps. It's more.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in support groups, external support groups, in the past, and those have helped me a lot too. Because when I used to have really bad like depression, I was in a support group for a number of years, and they really helped me by sharing their stories and what they, it's just nice to know that someone's gone through the same shit as you have. I think that's a big part of identifying with what you're feeling and what you need to change and what you want to deal with, is being around other people that have experienced those things, because it's easier to gain insight into yourself when you can gain insight into someone else. And I know that's kind of strange, but that's kind of how I equate it, because if you look inside somebody that's going through something very similar to you, you're going to find yourself. And you're going to find yourself because of how their reactions to certain things and how they feel. 9 times out of 10 in a situation like that is going to be almost identical, especially in a support group where you have people sharing a common malady or a common affliction that they're all dealing with at the time. There's going to be a lot more insight there. And that's exactly why I believe that, reading as much positive stuff as I can, listening to as much positive stuff as I can, will literally springboard me past everything that has plagued me in the past, and that I'm changing about myself. That, I mean, I'm working on like 25 years of behaviors, that some good, some bad, and the bad ones that I wanted to change. So I think personal development's a lifelong journey, and success is a lifelong journey. So the more you put in each and every day, like Sean said at the beginning, where you're establishing those habits, the more you're changing the neurology in your brain, and ultimately changing the neurology in your subconscious mind, so that you can attract what you're visualizing. Because if you have mental roadblocks in the way, in your side of your subconscious, or you have counter intentions, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to manifest what you want. So that, to me, is the main goal of personal development, is removing those subconscious counter intentions and realigning your mind and your chakras, and changing those neural pathways, so that you can form the subconscious habits and the rock solid beliefs about your success and what you're trying to attract. So that's where I get all that insight from. I got those insights from depression groups, and then reading The Law of Success, Think and Grow Rich, watching The Secret, watching there's another movie they did, which was the Missing Secret, listening to Joe Vitale talk about that, and just really piecing all this together. It's a culmination of things, so that's been very important for me. Focusing on that culmination of things, and realizing that, hey, I've come through a lot, and that my time is coming. If I keep working at it constantly every day as much as I can, it's going to happen. And that's probably the biggest thing I've gotten. The most accomplished feeling I've had is Rockstar. And what we're doing with Sean, what Kareem and I've learned with all this video stuff we're learning, it feels good to know that I'm creating a skill set in myself that's never going to be replaceable. And that's a good feeling, because anybody that goes to work can be replaced. At any job, you can be replaced by someone who can do it better. As an entrepreneur, you can't be replaced. Yes, you'll have competition, but you can't be replaced. So to me, working this hard is worth it. Working this hard on myself, and doing this, and working at it every day, and not seeing the results right away, is better than going to a job, punching a time clock, and seeing those kinds of results instantly, where, yeah, I'm making a certain amount of money, but at any time, the manager could just go, well, I've hired someone that's, faster at this, or more efficient, or this. So I think in today's day and age, being an entrepreneur is worth every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears you're going to go through, because then you've established your place in the world, and you can't be replaced.
Okay, what was the question again? Because I've forgotten now.
It's just having a support group or mastermind where you
Okay.
insight into areas that you want to change and stuff. And
well,
I kind
for
of
me-
went on, so sorry. But yeah.
That's okay. For me, well, again, the mastermind group I've been with the longest, they have actually been a great sounding board for me, because there have been a couple times where I've had personal things, and a couple of people I've gotten on just on, outside of the group, and a couple times while in the group, I've just shared things, and they've given me insights and built me up, and gave me ways of dealing with it. Here, I've shared some things, and you guys have also given me things and stuff too. And I think it's been a way for me to release some things rather than holding it in and having it be internalized more and more and more, to where it just makes me go down the rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. So in that sense, I know for me, that's why I tend to show up for the most part on a pretty regular basis on that mastermind and on this one, because it's important to me, and it's a way for me to keep myself connected to what I want to do, but it also is a release for me too, of getting things out and what I need to release also.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we provide that for you, and we are going to be here every Tuesday from now on, or as much as possible, while we're building the company. But that's very important, because, like I said, you can't gain insight into something if someone else doesn't share it. Because it's easy to say that you know what you're tackling, inside yourself. But until you look into somebody else, it's weird. It's so weird how self-reflection works. It's like you almost like you have to look through someone else's eyes before you can see what the problem really is. But that actually makes a lot more sense, because when you do that, you're getting an outside perspective into things rather than your own perspective. At least for me, that's how it works. I don't know about anybody else, but that's how it's worked for me. And I think that's why my connection to metal has been so strong, because I can see their pain through my eyes, and they can see my pain through their eyes. The struggles that I've shared with, especially Slipknot, the lifestyles are very similar. The upbringings of me and them is very similar. Life experience is extremely similar. And I think that people need that pipeline to something. They need that connection to something so that they can feel like they're not alone. And another idea I had is that I want to start we'll talk about it after the show, but I got an idea to help with boosting the audience for the Power Hour as well. So, anybody else want to chime in about that? Or we're going to move on to the insights, I guess, now?
Sure, I
Kareem.
can chime in. Actually, here's the funny thing that you just said. You said having a connection to something bigger.
Yeah.
And I would
bigger than yourself, like music or any area that helps you channel whatever you're feeling into something positive that you can tackle, address, and change and release. Yeah, very important.
Yeah, maybe you are that bigger thing. Right now, you're just you have an expression of it from where you can see, but you are that bigger thing. And when you know you're that bigger thing, and then right now you're just part of, well, you could use a wave in the ocean type analogy or a cloud in the sky, then it doesn't feel scary anymore. It feels a lot more fun, a lot more, I guess you could say, empowering, because you know that whatever happens, you're this big thing. I really like what Dada said back in the day. Never be worried, for the same force that guides a star, it guides you.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree to that to a certain degree. So insights, discussion, that's what we're doing now. Yeah, I mean, you got a point, but I also think that the human condition is so complex that you can't just, I don't really believe you can just blanket everything like that either, because everyone's individual situation is going to be different. Depending on the struggle or the trying time they're facing. It's so easy to say those things, but to apply that is an entirely different, because you can't just go, oh, well, I'm just not going to worry about something, because we want to make sure that we're going to be okay the next day. I think that's why we have so many people with anxiety in this day and age, because we live in a time where we're running a million miles an hour, but our bodies and our minds haven't caught up yet, especially when it comes to finances and providing for yourself. That's where a lot of those stresses, I'd say, would come from, would be work, money, worrying about where your next meal is going to come from. And it'd be easy to think, oh, well, I'm part of this huge thing bigger than myself, but it's not really going to feed you the next day. You can't just look up at the universe and go, hey, I need food. I mean, you are responsible for everything you create. So
I agree. Okay, I agree completely with that. What I'm saying is, you get in the, it's not necessarily, hey, looking up at the universe and say, I'm going to get food. It's it's actually not worrying. See, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people, yes, you can worry, and you can worry and worry and worry, but if you worrying doesn't necessarily help get a job. Worrying necessarily doesn't help with your finances or anything else. The only thing it does is actually undermine your health. So instead of worrying, not to say I'm going to stand up on a mountain and say, don't be anxious for tomorrow, but it's knowing that you're that big thing, that, hey, when I get hit with that, hit with this, that I don't just say it, that I actually feel it. And that goes beyond words. That actually goes beyond a mastermind. It goes to actually feeling it. And once you feel that and then you realize it, you don't actually have to enunciate it in words, because it'll happen. Something will come along to work it out. And there have been times I'm like, oh, I lost this job, I lost that. Well, am I going to be okay? And then I don't worry about it. I get doing what I'm doing, and something comes through.
And I'm going to kind of just jump out and go into a little mixture, because I see what you're saying and stuff, but I also think, going back to like what you've been saying and what you espouse a lot, Chris, is that, you know, when you put out your positive in the stuff and out to the universe, and the universe answers back to, you know, what you're putting out. So if you're putting out worry, or if you're feeling that, then you're going to get that back. But if what Kareem's saying is that, you know, the same power that guides stars guides you. So if you trust in that same power that will provide the inspiration for, say, like if you're trying to figure out where your food's going to come, or where it's going to be, yes, you still have to go work for it or find the ways and means. But as Kareem was saying, the power that is out there guiding the stars and everything is going to give you the nudge or the impulse, or it's something that says, oh, why don't you go find a stream, or why don't you go find where a herd of cattle are, or this or that, or why don't you look and see if these berries are. So it's becoming aware of what is being sent to you to help you provide, so you can take the means and steps that you need to take to get the food that you need, or to provide that. And because I admit I have been worrying about trying to find a job and to pay my bills. I'm going to admit that right up, you know, because it's, you know, I'm a month behind with everybody, and I've been stressed out, like, how am I going to get this all caught up? I know that's what wearing on my health. I know that's wearing on me mentally, spiritually, physically. And I'm trying to let go and just trust and believe that if I put out what I need to put out, because I believe in God, I believe in that aspect and stuff, that it will come, and it will be, you know, at the right point in time, I'll find that right energy that will propel me where I need to go. So for me, it's kind of a mixture of the two.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess what I mean is, it's very hard for people in those situations to know that they're part of something bigger that's going to take care of them if they take the action. And it is very difficult. I mean, when you're faced with something that bombards you and you have to make a huge change in your life, it's very difficult to see the silver lining at times. It has for me anyway. So I can identify with both sides. And I think that to get a real perspective on something, like a genuine perspective, that you've got to have experienced both. That's to me, that's what insight represents. You can see both the dark and the light of something. But anyway, so we're going to move on now to promotion of our new business, our company, and showcase website and discuss services. So I'm just going to share my screen. Those are all great insights, by the way, from everybody. I'm not saying that I'm right, so don't think that I'm saying, oh, I know everything, because really I don't know jack shit. Anyway, all right, so moving on to the website.
We knew that.
Yeah. Well, if I don't know jack shit, neither do you. All right, so.
I agree with you. I don't know anything, and I have nothing to teach.
Well, we do, and we do have stuff to teach, but anyway. We don't know everything, no, but okay, so Rockstar Entrepreneurial Starters, this is, okay, why is my phone going mental? Sorry. Fuck. I can edit this out later. All right, so this is the website that the company that Sean helped us put together. This is Rockstar Entrepreneurial Starters. Now, what we are is we are a video marketing company through branding YouTube for businesses. So we brand people's businesses with YouTube. We help them get more customers with video. We help people create a new audience and increase sales with YouTube, reach a whole new market and boost an existing one. Our services, you can go here and check them out. Learn how the first chord crash, the band, van, production, be thy name, lead vocal, script writing, and acting and spokesperson. So you can click on any of these to get to find out what they're all about. So what makes us unique and what separates us from our competition? Well, that would be all of this, right? And we have some sample videos of our work here. And then you can schedule a consultation with us to find out exactly what you want us to do for you. So why do people want to do videos on YouTube? Well, I guess because obviously by 2020, it's projected that the majority of the internet will be video and most of your customer base will be watching videos. So with the power of YouTube, you can connect with your customers. So at the end of the day, you can spend more time with your friends and your family. Increasing customers for any niche is our main goal for any small business owner. And I want to go into all the details, but we don't have time for that. So, but this is how we do it. We're able to make videos for you, upload a YouTube channel, create a YouTube channel for you, and really target your target demographic, depending on what niche you're in, but it doesn't matter because we work with all niches, all small business owners. And we're willing to work with you every step of the way. So I don't see the Rockstar 30-day promise up here yet, but we'll get to that some other time. So yeah, Kareem, do you want to talk more about this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to share my screen, or are you done?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's just, you got to go to the website and check out our stuff, and then it's a lot easier than me explaining it, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, I'm gonna do a really quick crash course and kind of have fun with it. So let's say you're a small business owner, and a lot of you guys have some kind of a business, or you're working something. You say, I want to get more clients. How do I do that? What do I do? And then you're running around trying to figure it out. And maybe some brick and mortar people who say, I want to get more exposure. How can I get millennials excited? How can I be helped? How can I get people in the door and just make them think that, hey, this guy really knows, or this girl really knows, or this business owner really knows what's going on. And as Chris showed, this is the website, and there's a little bit more. We have, he showed you the main page. We have the About Us, in case you want to inquire about us. Most importantly, we have our services. And our services are a lot of fun, because now, let's say, Dan, you have a blog post, and you go, okay, people aren't reading the blog post as much, or I want to add a video to it, and I actually can turn articles into videos now really quickly. I just showed Chris this the other night. So we have different video things we can do, and it's not so much about saying I have to get a whiteboard or I have to get this or that. It's, you have a specific problem, we're going to solve it by creating a video for you and then marketing it out to the people who are checking out your stuff.
Yeah.
In addition, we can help you, if you need it, get some consulting services for your existing YouTube channel, or help you just set up one from the ground. And if you need something like a voiceover, if you have a script, or you have a blog post if you want us to write the script, even if you want us to be a spokesperson and say, Kareem, because I just had this, a guy hit me up and said, hey, I have a fitness business and I want you to get on camera and talk about it. Okay. That we can get on camera if you're afraid to get on camera, because I know a lot of people have said, hey, pull up your phone and make a video. And they get all nervous. They're like, what do I say? How do I hit the video? Should I do it like this? Well, what if I do it like this? Should I say that? Well, I'm not very good at, I don't know what I'm going to say. Could you write it down? And I say, hey, no problem. I'll solve that. I'll get it done. You don't even need a script. You just need some concept, and we can actually create something pretty exciting for you. So all you have to do is click.
We help customers or small businesses increase their customer base and customer reach through power of YouTube branding and custom video production. That's what we do.
So
Go ahead.
it just comes down to doing two things: typing in Rockstar Starters,
Yeah.
and then you say, okay, this is pretty cool. Oh, I spelled that wrong. My bad.
Staters, eh? Are we staters now?
We could be staters.
That's funny.
Rockstar Starters. And then it'll go here, and then just check out the services.
Well, you're gonna want to watch the intro video too. Like the
And you
video
can-
pops up instantly when you go to the site, so you just click play and watch the intro video. And that'll tell you what we do and what we're all about.
And if you're in a hurry, just hit schedule consultation. Me and Chris talk with you either on the phone or Skype, and then we'll figure out specifically what you want to do. And then I'll just send a checkout page. We have a little card up here with this thing called WooCommerce. It's pretty fun. And if you have any questions about our privacy policy, we have that here. If you have any questions about the terms and service, I wrote that. And then once we get started, we'll also send you
You need to change my number on there.
We'll also send you a questionnaire on there about, okay, you have questions about your video. Maybe you don't know everything about video. So Chris wrote up a questionnaire. He'll send it to you. You fill out the questionnaire. We'll show you the user agreement, get that done, and then we can start pumping out some pretty exciting content for you on the second biggest, soon to be the first biggest search engine. And you know that, hey, everybody who knows anybody, hey, have you seen this on YouTube? Have you watched this on YouTube? Get them off the cat videos, get them watching your business. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, it's basically, just click on that video at the beginning of the website and you'll know exactly what we're all about and what we do. It's pretty simple. We increase customers for any small business through video marketing by leveraging you on YouTube and making custom videos aimed at your particular demographic, specifically tailored to your niche and your business and products and services. Pretty simple. And it's pretty awesome that we've narrowed it down. We found a niche and something we specialize at. That's some free advice for you entrepreneurs out there. That's how you build a company. You have to specialize in one area, one niche, and leverage off of that and make that as strong as you can. Because when you give people the illusion of choice, as our mentor taught us, you don't really come across as knowing what you're doing. When you specialize in something, more people are going to take notice of what you're doing. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I want to thank Dan. I want to thank Sean and Kareem. And we will see you guys next week. See you guys next week.